Red Bull's golden kid Max Verstappen is someone they want to keep behind the wheel for as long as possible. He is gifted, and if the squad is unable to match his strength and battle, he has the option to leave. His contract reportedly has a release clause that allows him to be activated if the Milton-Keynes team isn't competitive enough. Verstappen's contract indeed expires in 2023, but if the team fails to meet his expectations, he can depart and drive for other elite teams in the Formula 1 grid. If the 2021 season is taken into account, Red Bull has a good probability of being at the head of the grid and mounting a serious title campaign. But if that doesn't happen, where do you believe Max Verstappen would go with his skills if he quits Red Bull? Max can only approach Ferrari and Mercedes for a position in Formula 1, but which team would he choose? Is Lewis Hamilton also vying for a place in the Ferrari team? Let's find out in this video. With an opportunistic but controlled drive on debut for Red Bull in Barcelona in 2016, F1's youngest point scorer soon became the sport's youngest race winner at the age of 18 years and 228 days. Another amazing drive from the rear of the field to the podium on a tricky wet circuit in Brazil kept the plaudits flowing. It was the championship showdown that the Formula 1 world had been anticipating for a long time, and it didn't disappoint. Wheel-to-wheel racing, collisions, accusations, momentum shifts, and breathtaking overtaking. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton's title battle in 2021 will go down as one of the sport's all-time greats. As most times said, greatness is in the blood, and this might be a clear case with Verstappen. Max Verstappen is the son of former Formula 1 driver Jos Verstappen and superfast karting mother Sophie Kumpen. Therefore, we can say racing runs through his genes. Expectations for the next generation's guiding light are sky high after Verstappen became the Netherlands' first world champion at the age of 24. Yet, there's a feeling that the sky's the limit with Verstappen. At the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, our very own Formula 1 champion Max Verstappen dominated in a Red Bull annihilation of Ferrari. On Sunday, Max Verstappen won from pole position, set the fastest lap, and took his second win of the season, leading teammate Sergio Perez to the first of their Red Bull 1-2 finishes since Malaysia in 2016. Thereafter, the Dutchman radioed his Red Bull team, "Lovely Sunday." And on Saturday, to boost, the Dutchman also won the sprint qualification race, giving him a total of 100 points for the weekend. Meanwhile, McLaren's Lando Norris finished third, and Ferrari's race on home soil, where they were hoping to celebrate a return to F1 domination, was almost a disaster. Charles Leclerc led the title heading into Sunday with 2 wins in the first 3 races, and Carlos Sainz Jr. signed a 2-year contract extension this weekend in Italy. However, Charles Leclerc was unable to obtain a head start on Max Verstappen and was never able to compete as he wanted. Sainz's race was ruined when he went off course on the first lap, while Leclerc's attempt to save the day for Ferrari was thwarted when he spun while racing Perez for the second. Unfortunately, he eventually came in 6th place. So it would seem as though Max Verstappen was the ill luck that caused that to happen, which dampens the chance of him being on the same team with Charles Leclerc, don't you think? If anyone would be joining Ferrari, there is the possibility that it would be no other person than Lewis Hamilton. So, is it possible that Lewis Hamilton would join Ferrari before he departs from Formula 1? It is no more news to sports lovers such as yourself that Lewis Hamilton is nearing the end of his remarkable Formula 1 career, having achieved unprecedented success with Mercedes. It has left people wondering that, with Ferrari on the verge of a comeback in 2022, Lewis Hamilton might make one final switch to get ahead of Scuderia legend Michael Schumacher. But would the switch be to Ferrari? Lewis Hamilton is the most successful Formula 1 driver in terms of victories, pole positions, and podium finishes. He now shares 7 championships with Michael Schumacher. And with Mercedes having technical issues and their tough start to the 2022 season, he hasn't been able to pull off a grand feat. His attempt to get ahead is at an uneven position. Lewis Hamilton's current contract with Mercedes will expire by the end of 2023, raising the possibility of a retirement or a move to another team if Mercedes fails to reclaim its success from recent years. A sportsman always craves more accomplishments, and Lewis Hamilton, even at 37, shows no signs of slowing down, and his performance versus Max Verstappen at the end of last year's Grand Prix shows that he is still in great form. While he's presently second in the drivers' standings to new Mercedes teammate George Russell, Hamilton remains one of F1's finest drivers, and any team would be eager to recruit him. not only for racing reasons, but also for commercial reasons, given Lewis Hamilton's global prominence. Although he's likely to finish his career with the team that has helped him achieve unprecedented success, a move to F1's greatest ever squad may vault him into legends discourse. This year is Lewis Hamilton's worst start to a season since 2009, with Mercedes trailing Ferrari and Red Bull in terms of performance. Its lack of side pods looks to have exacerbated the porpoising problem that has plagued Mercedes' outright performance, forcing the 8-time champions to run a reduced setup and lose outright performance. Mercedes will undoubtedly improve, but considering Ferrari and Leclerc's early season record, it may be too late for Lewis Hamilton to mount a genuine title challenge. Mika Häkkinen, a 2-time Formula 1 winner, has boldly suggested that Hamilton may be sulking as a result of Mercedes' poor performance. "This is a disaster for Lewis," Häkkinen remarks, according to the Metro. "It's even worse now that George is ahead. I'm curious how Lewis acts in team meetings. I'm sure he's grumpy. I can imagine the huffing and puffing. There is a lot of moaning and complaining. Now the natural mental process of drivers begins. Should I change my mind? It's a proven fact. He's been with Mercedes for a long time and has won numerous titles. He'll start thinking about switching teams now that things aren't going well." Driving for Ferrari has been characterized as a dream by many F1 drivers. Even Lewis Hamilton is no exception. With 15 drivers and 16 constructors' championships under its belt, the historic Italian team is F1's most successful. Aside from their racing accomplishments, Ferrari is the only team to have competed in every season from the sport's beginning in 1950. Any driver will be enticed by Ferrari's grandeur and history. Hamilton previously told Sky Italia that, "I could hear them saying come to Ferrari for many years when I came to Monza, walking next to the fans. This warmed my heart, but it's incredible that I haven't driven for Ferrari in so long because it is everyone's dream, a goal to be accomplished." Although we can't ignore what Lewis Hamilton stated to Sky Sports F1 ahead of last year's Italian Grand Prix, that a switch to Ferrari had never really been on the cards for him so far. "Of course, I look at the colour and the red," he continued, "but it's still the red. I have 2 Ferraris at home, so I do get to drive one, just not the one. That is a dream position for everyone. It was just never in the cards for me in the first place. I'll never know why, but I wish them all the best, and will devote the rest of my time to preventing them from winning the championship." Lewis Hamilton has been a frequent opponent of Ferrari, defeating Kimi Raikkonen and Felipe Massa in 2007 and 2008 respectively, and preventing Sebastian Vettel from winning the 2017 and 2018 championships. But could there be a change in mind since then? More importantly, does Ferrari, on the other hand, require Lewis Hamilton? While Hamilton's talent and expertise are undeniable, Ferrari already has its own star in Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, the lightning-fast Monegasque, has dominated the early stages of the 2022 season, winning in Bahrain and Australia to have a commanding lead in the championship standings coming into the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix last weekend. Also, Ferrari has faith in Leclerc, as evidenced by the fact that he was given a 5-year contract extension at the end of his first season with the team. Ferrari's apparent aim was demonstrated when it released Sebastian Vettel ahead of the next season, focusing the team's attention on Leclerc. Leclerc is in the greatest position to win Ferrari's first championship since 2007. Ferrari will no longer need to sign a driver of Hamilton's caliber if he succeeds. If Ferrari's title drought continues though, Lewis Hamilton may be able to write his name into Ferrari legend with a victory of his own. So, does that mean there are chances for both Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton to join Ferrari? Ferrari has a history of putting all of its eggs in one basket, as evidenced by Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello, Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa, Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. Ferrari usually has a clear team captain, and Leclerc is obviously that man right now. A move for Hamilton or Verstappen to Ferrari is a far-fetched possibility, but one that would pique the sporting world's interest. Unrealistic? Perhaps. Could you have seen Lionel Messi leaving Barcelona or Cristiano Ronaldo returning to Manchester United? No. Anything can happen in sport, so let's keep our fingers crossed and let it all play out. I know you'll be interested in the video on the screen, so click it now to